There's a very recent story that truly troubles me, and I'm going to leave links to a couple of different sources to this issue, but the one I'm going to read from specifically right now is the Christian Broadcasting Network coverage of the story, and I'll just get right into it here and then address my issues with it. Seniors at Louisiana Bastrop High School went on with prayer during their graduation ceremony May 20th, despite threats of a possible lawsuit, plans to cancel the prayer, and contrary advice from a school attorney. Openly atheist graduate Damon Fowler complained to the superintendent about the traditional prayer and threatened to contact the American Civil Liberties Union if it wasn't removed from the ceremony. At the recommendation of an attorney, school administrators reprinted all the graduation announcements to rid any mention of prayer in the program. Instead, a moment of silence was listed. But when graduating senior Lacey Ray Mattis stood at the podium to lead the moment of silence, she instead recited the Lord's Prayer. "I respect the beliefs of other people, but I feel that I can't go on without giving glory to my Lord today," she said. "I want to ask the Lord's blessing upon us." Lacey Ray then asked the fellow students to say the prayer with her if they wanted to. The Constitution does not require that graduation be free of religious people or speech. Students have the right to express secular and religious viewpoints at graduation, said Matthew D. Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. To censor only religious viewpoints is intolerant and unconstitutional, he said. Students should not be bullied by the ACLU to give up their traditional rights. In an online forum, Damon's brother Jarrett said he's in contact with a lawyer at the Freedom from Religion Foundation about the case. The group has offered Damon $1,000 Student Activist Award for his courage to speak out. Administrators say Bastrop has never had anyone protest the graduation prayer. Atheist and agnostic and non-Christian students respected the majority of their classmates and didn't say anything, said longtime Bastrop staff member Mitzi Quinn. "We've never had this come up before, never." Damon attended the graduation ceremony, but before the event he posted on his Facebook page, "I'm going to walk no matter what they say or do." The teen has since moved to Texas. Now, Damon took on quite a bit of heat from his fellow students, teachers, and parents in this process. This particular article was titled, "Seniors Hold Prayer Despite Atheist Threats." Now, it astonishes me that even in a situation like this, the overwhelming religious majority still have the gall to present themselves as the victim in the scenario. This young man was not asking for special treatment of any kind. All he wanted was for his public school to omit an event from its ceremony that never should have been there in the first place. He also informed the school of the problem he had before contacting the ACLU, which was giving them the benefit of the doubt. Then this Christian girl talks as if she's refusing to stand for the invasion of a non-believer on her rights. She stands before the audience, almost every member of which is Christian, and takes time out of the event to lead them all in prayer after the school officially removed it from its agenda. The school had changed it to a moment of silence where people could just sit silently or stand silently and mentally pray whatever they wanted to their personal gods, but that wasn't enough for her. Her excuse is, "I feel I can't go on without giving glory to my Lord today." She couldn't give her God glory in her head or at dinner afterwards or maybe at her personal graduation party or in church. No, she had to do it publicly in front of hundreds of people who openly agreed with her, even though she knew that it was in violation of what a secular ceremony should consist of, and at least one member of her class had specifically said he'd appreciate if that rule was obeyed for once. And she couldn't possibly just mentally communicate this to her Lord, whom she considers to be omniscient and know everything that she wants and thinks. And this girl will surely be revered as the courageous one who wouldn't give in to the infidel's threats of taking legal action if his constitutional rights were violated. There were two major points that disturbed me about this. First of all, if any of these Christian parents and teachers who ostracized this atheist boy for his disbelief were to sit through what he had to, they'd be up in arms at once. If after the Christian girl said the Lord's Prayer, imagine if another student took the podium and said a Muslim prayer. Then another stood up and said a Jewish prayer. And what if after that a student who just couldn't go on without giving glory to Odin was there? Then another who just couldn't go on without giving glory to Xenu, then to Zeus, then to Krishna, then to Osiris, then to Jupiter and Horus, and so on. How much time would have to be wasted publicly praying to the gods that they didn't believe in, reminded each time to only pray if they wanted to, before they would decide that religious tributes have no place in public schools? That brings me to the final point, because I understand that for that analogy to work, those Christians would actually have to be the acute minority surrounded by a united majority of Jupiter or Xenu worshippers. And maybe, in that case, they just silently go along. Maybe they wouldn't express a problem with the celebration of their accomplishments being tainted by the glorification of a religion that has no place there. But the point is that they shouldn't have to. And the message that a school sends to its students by allowing this to happen is that the majority is always right. That if your conscience doesn't approve of what your other 9 friends are doing, you're supposed to just go along with it because you're the minority. And who are you to make a fuss? That it doesn't matter whose opinion is logically and ethically correct when compared to whose opinion is popular. If that kind of message is what our educational system is interested in teaching our children, then our potential for social progress is doomed already, because the dreamers, the wishers, the innovators that have pulled the rest of us subservient conformist Slavs along through the ages were not members of a complacent, privileged, and sensitive majority. They were minority thinkers who had the courage to speak above the crowd. And I, for one, would like our current educational system to encourage those people, not ignore them.